Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." Hi everybody, thank you for joining us today for this edition of Go Ye Therefore. We have a special guest with us today. We have Nick Nassif. He's a high school student at Lake Orion Community Schools, and he lives in our community of Lake Orion. And we're so thrilled to be able to hear about how he went to Jamaica with his grandfather. Welcome, Nick. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Hi. Glad to be here.
So you went to Jamaica between your sophomore and your freshman year?
Yes, that is correct. I was 16 at the time.
And you went with your grandfather?
Yeah.
Where did you go in Jamaica?
We went to Benton, Jamaica, which is a small little town up in the middle of the mountains, middle of nowhere, really.
So how is it that you ended up there with your grandfather?
My grandpa had approached my parents about me and my brother possibly going with him. And my brother had stuff going on at that time, but my parents approached me about it, and I just felt drawn to go, and I thought it would be a good idea, so I went with them.
Did you go with members of his church?
Yeah, there was 5 or 6 other people there, I believe. So there's probably a total of 7 or 8 of us that went.
So you must have been very excited as a 15 or 16-year-old to be going to a whole brand new country.
Yeah, I was excited and a little nervous, but you know, in a good way.
What was the travel like for you?
I remember we flew. We made a stop in, I believe, Miami. And then we had about an hour layover there, and then we flew down to Jamaica and took a truck from the coast into the mountains and to our destination.
Now that must have been an interesting ride as you were in that truck going through the mountains. What are the roads like in Jamaica?
They're pretty much all on the side of cliffs, so that was a little scary. And it was really windy and bumpy. It was kind of scary, to be honest with you, but I toughed it out.
Yep, that's good. I'm glad you did. I'm sure that when you got to that community, the people were really glad to see you.
Yeah, they were definitely happy to see us. You know, it was interesting for them to see Americans. That's, you know, sort of rare, but for them. Mm-hmm. But they were excited to see us. Now,
how long did you spend in Jamaica, Nick?
We were there for 10 days, I believe.
That's quite a long trip.
Yeah, definitely. It was, you know, it flew by though.
What are some of the things that you were able to do while you were in that country?
Our main focus while we were there was to run a Sunday school up at the church, which was affiliated with the school. And you know, we did that a lot, and we helped, you know, fix up some houses, help paint some houses, and just, you know, some odd jobs here and there. But mostly our main focus was the Sunday school.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. So you told people about the love of God?
Oh yeah, that was, you know, that was a big part of it. That was definitely the reason we were there.
I'm glad you went. I'm glad you were able to reach those kids and the people in that community. You had mentioned that you went up the mountains. You've got some pictures if you want to show us those.
Oh yeah, sure. There's some pictures here of some of the landscapes and some, you know, homes, and the churches here, some of the kids, and there are a couple of pictures here of a home and a woman.
Now, who's this lady here?
Her name was Miss Joyce. I'd met her, I think, on the first day we were there, and she had some learning disability, I believe, but she was always very nice to us and was willing to show us her home, and you know, was very hospitable. She was a nice woman.
Now, her home is very small compared to what we're used to here in America.
Oh, yeah.
But look at the smile on her face. She seems completely satisfied and content, and that's pretty remarkable. That's her kitchen that you see down below there. Now, talking about kitchens, Nick, what was the food like there?
Oh, I was a little nervous about that because I like to eat, and I was hoping there'd be good food to eat, but it was definitely not an issue at all. We had a woman there that cooked a lot of food for us, and we had all kinds of stuff. Mostly spicy chicken, which I didn't mind. It was delicious.
Did you eat plantains?
They had them, but I'm kind of picky. I didn't go for
Didn't
those.
try 'em.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing how different our food is from America to Jamaica and any country that you go to.
Yeah, it's different, but it's still good.
Now tell us about the children that you were able to influence and to meet and talk to.
They were just so, happy and playful, and every time we walked into a room, they all were just smiles on their faces, happy to see us. And they were definitely, some of the younger ones didn't really get, what we were trying to teach in the Sunday school, but the older ones for sure were more receptive to it and definitely, I think, learned something from what we taught. And I don't know, I just loved playing with them. They loved to wrestle, and the boys did anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, they were great. I just loved spending time with them.
Do they have a favorite sport?
Most of them loved soccer or football,
yes.
they call it down there. And then a lot of them also like to play cricket. And then another popular game was just beating the heck out of each other, which was
like wrestling matches?
Yeah, wrestling, which is pretty normal here too, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Now, are the families big in Jamaica? Is there a lot of kids in each family?
Oh yeah, it's pretty normal there for a husband and a wife to have like between 5 and 10 kids.
That's a lot.
We're here, the average is like 2 kids per family, but yeah.
So what was the language? What were they speaking there?
They spoke English. They definitely had thick accents. At times they were hard to understand, but you had to have them repeat maybe something a few times, but then you got it. And then some of them spoke patois as a second language, which was a combination of French, Spanish, and African, I believe. And it was a weird language. I didn't even make an attempt to learn it.
Oh my goodness! Did the kids speak that language?
No, it's not. It's more the older adults that spoke it.
Mostly English then.
Yeah, mostly
That's good.
English.
There's no language barrier for the most part.
Yeah, it definitely helped, with reaching them, that we didn't have to worry about a language barrier.
Now, what's the country like? What is the just the makeup? What it looks like? The landscape?
It's just so green, everywhere, which you don't see as so much here in America. And then the water was so blue. We went to the beach one day at the end, and you could see your feet clearly in waist deep water.
Incredible.
Yeah, in the Caribbean, and it was beautiful.
Do you want to go back someday?
Yes, I definitely want to go back within the next couple of years, hopefully.
Do you hope to go on a mission trip again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now
sure.
you are a member of Kensington Church.
That is correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the mission work that Kensington does?
Kensington does all sorts of stuff. I know that right now for the holidays they're doing Christmas in Action, which is they're involved in stuff in India and Africa and right here in America, and in the Caribbean they've always done stuff in, they're starting to do things in Haiti after the earthquake, and they're all over the map. But yeah, they're definitely doing some mission work.
So Jamaica would be the place you'd return to.
Oh yeah,
Can you imagine what it would be like if you went back to to Bensington, Jamaica, and saw the kids as they've grown up a few years?
Yeah, I think it would be weird to see, especially some of the kids that I got closest with, seeing them grown up, because I always have them pictured in my mind as these old munchkins. And I think it would probably be weird for them to see me too. I've grown a little bit, but yeah. I would definitely still want to go back, and I would enjoy that. What
are some of the kids like? Some of the ones that you got to know a little better than some of the others? What was their life like? I
don't know. It was a lot simpler. They didn't have to worry about organized sports, and school was a little simpler, and it's just less complicated and less hectic, and they have more time to play, which in America is not something we get to enjoy quite as much as kids. Yeah. But they were just they were generally happy, and they're happy kids. I liked it.
Is there a lot of singing? I always think of Jamaica as having beautiful music.
Oh yeah, they some of the kids would just break out like singing with each other in the middle of class. It was kind of odd, but it was interesting.
So natural for them?
Yeah, it was just something they did for fun.
Were you able to take any Bibles into the village?
Oh yeah, we all before we even left, it was pretty much required that everyone brought a Bible. I brought one, and I know everyone else did, and sometimes at night we would do little Bible study groups before we went to bed, and yeah, they definitely were around.
So the country's open to Christianity then?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's good. I know some places, some people I've talked to, they can't bring Bibles in. They're not able to speak about God in those countries, and it's so important that we tell people about what Jesus did for us. It's pretty amazing, because it tells us in the Bible to go into all nations, and Jamaica is one of those nations that God sends His people, and He sent you and your grandfather. That's amazing. Now, what would you say, Nick, to youth about your age, about going on a mission trip? How would you prepare them to get ready to do something like that?
I would definitely just say that you need to be open to anything. I mean, you know, obviously when you go into a new country that's so different from where we live, it's going to be a lot of culture shock. It's going to be really different. But you just have to be open to new ideas and the, you know, the way of life there, and not compare it, like compare and contrast to America. And I would just say go, because, you know, once you go, it's life-changing. You appreciate what you have more, and you just see, you know, how blessed you are to live here in the United States.
Now, you've continued to care for, in certain ways, the people in Jamaica and other countries through Provide Inc., which is a wonderful foundation that your mom is part of. Can you tell us how you're still able to assist in some ways in the country of Jamaica?
Yeah, my mom started Provide several years ago, and she's always been super involved with all sorts of, you know, community service work and mission work. And once I went to Jamaica, you know, the people there were always kind of in the back of my mind and on my heart, and I just really wanted to do my little part to continue to help them, even though I wasn't there, which I've done through, you know, trying to, with my mom, organizing like clothing drives and sending down clothes and school supplies and stuff like that. Just try to help out.
Can you imagine when they received those packages?
They must have been thrilled. I would like to have seen that.
Yeah, they probably saw the trucks coming and they were running, and just very glad to have that provision. Now, you mentioned that the fathers are there too, that the families are big, the mother and the father is there.
Yeah.
That's important. What are some of the things that you would do or see happening in a village in a normal course of day?
It was just weird. It was not uncommon to see a guy walking around with a machete to do, you know, work in the fields or something like that, which was definitely a little bit, you know, scary.
Big machete?
Yeah, it was weird, but it was fine. You know, it was, at the most you would probably see 1 or 2 cars drive by a day down the road, which is obviously way different than here, where everyone owns more than like 2 cars. And I don't know, it was just, it was very different. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. It was just a laid-back country. You know, people were generally happy. People said hi to one another that they didn't even know, just to be friendly. And I don't know, that's something I think, yeah, we need to do more of that in America, I think.
Would you think that part of that comes just because they are dependent on each other so much, that they don't have the outside, you know, influencing them as much as we do here?
Yeah, I think that probably, you know, plays a pretty significant role in why it's like that. You know, people here in America are just generally kind of, you know, in their own bubble a lot of times. You know, they don't interact with others as much as maybe they could or they should. And, you know, down there everyone's together all the time, and you know, you don't stay in your house that much because it's generally not that big, and you're outside with others constantly. So you grow, you know, you begin to grow strong friendships with those around you, and it's just how it is down there.
That's so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, you mentioned that you got to know some of the kids pretty good. There's a picture here. I want to lift this up here. We see a picture here of 2 kids. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I remember them probably the best. That's Shawnee and Mikkel. They were brothers. They actually taught me to play cricket. I hung out with them a lot because they lived right nearby where we were staying. And they liked to tackle me, and I would let them punch me in the stomach, stuff like that. That's
like a big brother, right?
Yeah, that's how little boys were. I was like the big brother for the week.
So what's cricket?
Cricket is a weird game that I still don't understand, where you hit a ball with a racket, and there's something about like blocks behind it. I don't know. I just enjoyed playing it. I just don't understand it still.
Well, I'm sure they were glad to teach you.
Oh yeah, they tried to teach me the best they could, and we had fun playing. So.
Now here's a picture of you, if you'll hold that up for the camera so they can see that. That's a picture of you, and those look like students there. And can you share a little bit about what's happening there?
If I remember correctly, at that moment, we had just come up to start another day of Sunday school. I think, you know, the little girls were oftentimes pretty flirtatious. I think they were just kind of messing with me. And, you know, it was just funny. I don't know.
Now, they're in uniforms too, right?
Yeah, there's a required uniform for the boys and girls for the school.
Is this their uniform? They're both in the brown shirts?
Yeah, the boys just had the button-up, you know, tan-colored shirts and tan pants, and the girls had their little skirts and their, you know, checkered shirts underneath.
Kind of like our Catholic schools.
Yeah, it's similar to that.
That's what it looks like,
yeah,
a lot.
It's what it reminded me of.
Now, there really weren't any language barriers, you said, because they were speaking the English language for the most part. Were there some cultural things that shocked you?
Yeah, like I said before, it was normal for people, walk around with machetes, stuff like that would just never fly in America. Those guys would get arrested. But, there it was just common for stuff like that to happen. Kids were just constantly just running around, playing with each other. People would yell at each other from house to house instead of calling. Obviously, that wasn't something that happened a lot. Like, it was just, people were always, yelling. It was just kind of loud a lot. Which was funny at times. I kind of enjoyed it. And everyone just seemed to know each other. Whereas, like, in my neighborhood, not everyone even knows each other. But down there, within a certain radius, everyone just knew each other really well.
I like that. That's what it was like when we were growing up, where you knew your neighbors.
Yeah.
That's very important. What was it like for your mom sending you, your mom and your dad letting you go? Did they have any reservations, or were they knew that you were in good hands?
I think they were a little nervous, probably, but they had some comfort in knowing that my grandpa was there, my papa, and one of my mom's good friends from college was there too, actually. So she had another there that could kind of watch my back, I guess.
Yeah.
So they weren't as nervous as they probably would have been if I went in alone, but they're so iffy, but it worked out. It worked out
okay. Yeah. Well, I hope that you're able to go back. I just think that it would be wonderful to be able to see those kids again and see the progress and how some of the seeds that you and your grandfather and that group sowed into their life, teaching them about Jesus, teaching about the things that you wanted to share with them about the love of God, how that's impacted their life. Do a lot of the kids that grow up in the community stay in the community? Is it generational?
Yeah, pretty much everyone, stays and kind of takes up, whatever trade that their parents had been doing. Going to college wasn't particularly common because it was expensive. I mean, some kids did still go, they'd find a way, but a lot of times kids ended up just staying at home and maybe building their own house and staying within Bensington or somewhere nearby. So, yeah.
Well, that's pretty neat. And there's animals too, I'm sure. That's what it's pretty natural.
Oh, yeah. There was goats all over the place.
Just running around?
Oh, yeah. And, people had, like, pet goats, and they had, there was dogs that were out running around, and it was a little odd, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you had to have shots and things to prepare to go, correct?
Oh, actually, no. We don't. When you go to Jamaica, we didn't have to get anything done.
Did you need a passport?
Oh, yeah, we had to get a passport, went down to CVS, took a picture, and, it happened pretty quick.
So you got that within a short period of time.
Yeah,
so that's something young people will want to be aware of, that they need a passport if they're traveling.
Yeah, it's definitely a legal requirement to leave the country, but it's not too big of a deal to get.
And no shots?
No shots.
You're fortunate.
Yeah.
When I went to Haiti, I had lots of shots.
Yeah, here it's rough.
Yeah. But I toughed it out. You have to do it.
Good for you.
Is there anything else that you want to share?
I guess I would just want to say that while it's cool to go on, leave the country to go on a mission trip, you don't really have to leave the country to go on a mission trip. You can go on a mission trip down the street, So if given any opportunity, to help others out, you should definitely take that up, whether it's in Lake Orion or if it's in Jamaica or Africa or wherever. So as long as you're doing your part to help other people out.
To impact others.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm so glad you shared this time with us today, Nick. It's important that people understand that we are called to go into all nations, and Jamaica is one of those nations. And I'm really proud of you. I know your mom and your dad, we're really glad that you were able to go, even though it was a sacrifice for them to send you. And I hope that other students, other people at the high school will see this and want to be a part of that as well. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we hope that you have been inspired to maybe take part in a mission trip with your church or something in your community, like Nick said, to reach out and help others around you. Thank you very much for joining us today.